How you doing, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Best Real Estate Investing Advice Ever show, and we're doing it via Facebook Live, and we have Grant with us, who's on social media. So if you have questions, then he'll be responding to you, and if you have questions that you'd like for us to answer, we might get to them on this show, or we might get to them on a next show. With that being said, let's get rocking. You ready, my friend?
Let's do it, Joe.
All right. Best ever listeners, how you doing? Welcome to the Best Real Estate Investing Advice Ever show. I'm Joe Fairless. This is the world's longest running daily real estate investing podcast. We only talk about the best advice ever. We don't get into any of that fluffy stuff. And we're doing Follow Along Friday today. And I just thought of this, Theo. This is going to be our last Follow Along Friday together in Cincinnati.
I think you're right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because next week we're not doing this next week.
The week of that we're going to Dallas.
Next week we're going to Dallas to look at property and the whole portfolio, so you can check it out. And then you'll be in Florida. We might have one more.
We might have one more.
We might have one more. All right, the second week of January. All right. Well, never mind then. I won't shed a tear quite yet.
It is the last one of the year, though.
All right. Well, we'll roll with that. Today on Follow Along Friday, we've got some updates as well as a formula that was presented to the attendees at Unleash the Power Within, Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within. I went there, Colleen and I went there last November, so last month, I guess. And they taught us this formula. I saw an application certainly for what we're doing with real estate investing from a finding deal standpoint and finding private money standpoint, because ultimately to do deals, regardless of what type of real estate investing you're doing, you need money and you need deals. So I figured we'd talk about that, and Theo's got an example that we're going to talk through, and then we'll go over some other updates. And all of this is not about what we got going on, it's about how it can be applied to what you're doing so we can help you out. So how do we want to do it?
So let's I say we go through the 5 steps, and then we kind of just briefly talk on each of them, and then I'll go through my example. So
okay.
The 5-part success formula. Number 1 is know your outcome. Number 2 is know your reasons why. Number 3 is take massive intelligent action. 4 is know what you're getting. And then step 5 is to change your approach until you reach or surpass your outcome.
And Tony Robbins calls it the ultimate success formula, and Tony Robbins isn't shy from hyperbole, from using hyperbole. So clearly, this isn't just the success formula. This is the ultimate success formula. So you've got an example of how you've used it or how you plan on using it. What is it?
So maybe a little bit of a combination of both. So I was kind of just thinking about this, and it's what I really like about Tony Robbins is these types of formulas, these 5-step processes that you can kind of it's so simple that you can kind of look at it and interpret it and apply it to really anything. You can apply it to your day. You can apply it to your personal life. You can apply it to your business. You can apply it to a year, a decade-long goal. And so for me, I would assume that some people kind of already unconsciously do this themselves. Like they know, all right, I'm doing something new. I'm gonna have an outcome in mind because I gotta know what I'm gonna do.
Yep.
So it's gotta be specific. And then I gotta know. And then step 2, which I think is the biggest one, which I kind of go over in my example, as to how you not only kind of reach your goal or surpass it, but kind of continue to do it over time. Because if you don't have a strong enough why, or don't even have a why articulated, once you kind of reach your goal and you're at that point where you're like, all right, now what? If you have a strong enough why, it'll keep you to either set a new goal or just keep consistently doing whatever it is, whatever your intelligent action is. Mm-hmm. And so my example, it's not a real estate related example. It's for my when I started doing a podcast 2 years ago. And so when I started it, obviously I didn't have an outcome in mind. I kind of just did it because of a conversation I had with Coach Trevor, actually. And over time, I would say that it wasn't a specific outcome, but I actually wanted to average 100 listens per episode. It was what my goal was. And this was just strictly of audio podcast. So I did that for about a year. My reasons why were also kind of shaky and vague, which is kind of why I one of the reasons why I probably don't continue to do it now, but we'll get to that in a second. But so my outcome was to get, let's say, 100 downloads. And so I took my massive intelligent action. I committed to doing just one, either interview-based or like a solo podcast per week. Interview-based ones were a little bit more simple because you just find someone and then I'm not simple, but it's less. You either prepare less, because when I was doing the solo podcast, I would just like spend 8 hours like preparing for the podcast before I did it. And the taking the massive intelligent action and then kind of know what you're getting and change your approach. I kind of put those are all kind of together, because you're taking, I'm taking action, I'm doing my podcast, but I wasn't getting anywhere near the results I wanted. I was analyzing what I was actually getting, and I wasn't reaching my 100 views. And so what I did for changing my approach, I started doing the YouTube channel instead. So instead of just doing audio, I did a YouTube channel. I also kind of changed up what I was talking about. At the time, I was kind of talking about more like self-help type of things. And then for my YouTube channel, I was talking more about like social and political issues.
And current events.
And based off of current events.
Yeah.
And so my first, let's say, I don't know, 2 months of doing my YouTube channel, I would get, 30 views, 60 views, maybe like I get 120 views. I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
Of your YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I had 5 subscribers, which again I was happy about. And then I did one video on a current event, and it ended up getting over 100,000 views, and my subscriber base increased from 5 to about, what was it?
2,000 something.
Yeah, it was 2,000, almost 3,000 people in one thing. So if I would never change my approach, if I would have just kept doing my audio podcast, which it was, I was getting good positive feedback on it, but I wasn't reaching the viewership numbers that I wanted. And I think that for my personality type or my we always talk about unique talents, I guess I was a better fit for the video than I was for the that's the audio. So I actually just scrap the audio altogether and just focus on the YouTube. And then obviously I stopped doing it for for multiple reasons. But one of the reasons was that, and I was thinking about this morning before I came over. And so me getting those 100,000 views was kind of like compared to someone like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
And whenever someone wins the lottery, you think like, oh, it's great, I got all this money, now all my problems are gonna be solved.
We'll be right back where they started in about 5 years.
Yeah, they'd be right back where you started. Or for me, it was the going from 5 subscribers to 3,000. I felt a pressure, and based off of kind of how again, this could be an excuse, or this could be actually true, but I didn't think I knew enough, and I wasn't confident enough in what I was actually saying to talk to that many people. Because typically how it works is you start, and for the first 2, 3, 4 years, you've got a very small listener base because you don't know what you're talking about, and you're improving your speaking skills, and you're kind of learning more and more of what you're actually talking about and how to present certain ideas. And I kind of just randomly randomly exploded into so many viewers, and I was like, all right, I don't think I know enough to talk to this many. I don't think my ideas are well articulated enough to present to this many people and continue to do this for an indefinite amount of time. And so for me, my next change of approach is I stopped, and maybe this was about 3-4 months ago, and I've been educating myself so that starting next, and it just happens to be starting next year. It's not because of 2018 New Year's resolution, but once I move and I get my office all set up, I'm going to start doing the videos again, and it'll be very similar to what I was doing before. But I will, number one, have a lot more confidence in what I'm talking about, and number two, hopefully be less, divisive on the type of topics, and not be like, oh, this is my team and I'm against these people. But that's a different topic.
I recommend, it would be cool to see on your first one coming out of the gate, it would be telling the story about telling this story and telling them that you have been preparing to then deliver to a larger audience? Because that would be interesting to them. To recap the 5 steps: know your outcome, so we got to be specific. Number 2, know your reasons why. Number 3, take massive intelligent action. Number 4, know what you're getting, and during that process, analyze and be self-aware. In your example, you're self-aware. Okay, here's what I'm getting. Wasn't as much, so now I'm going to go towards a different platform, which then exploded. And then 5, change your approach until you get your outcome, which I guess that was when you switched from the podcast to the YouTube channel. And I can tell you that I have clients who I consult on multifamily syndication, and one of them recently told me that he had a hard time being motivated because he was pretty comfortable. 6-figure job, has equity in some homes, doing well, great wife, just comfortable, and he couldn't find the motivation, or at the time he couldn't find the motivation to really put effort towards growing his real estate portfolio in a larger way. And what I told him is that either you dictate the changes in your life, or life will dictate the changes in your life. And an example is, think of someone who is paycheck to paycheck. It's a family, and they're paycheck to paycheck. They've got a couple kids. Well, they don't have money for vacations. They barely have money to put food on the table for the family. Then they announce that they're having another baby. Unexpectedly, wife's pregnant. Well, what happens when the baby is born? Does the baby go hungry? Most likely not. Most likely, magically, they have enough money, they get enough money, they're resourceful enough to put more food on the table and to, buy diapers and whatever else. And the only thing that changed was that life dictated the change, whereas if that couple would have controlled and thought of, okay, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to pretend that I'm in this circumstance. I'm going to force ourselves into another level. Tony Robbins talks about raising your standards. If we were to raise our standards and pretend we are going to have another kid, and we don't plan on it, and maybe we don't, but we just pretend, and then we're going to tuck away that money for saving and other things, then all of a sudden you're farther ahead. And so when we talk about our reasons why and our approach, that's one thing that I constantly think about. I'm always thinking about what could Armageddon mean for my business, and how can I stay one step ahead, or as many steps ahead as I can, to mitigate that risk from happening. And that's something that is top of mind for me. And if you are feeling comfortable, then comfort is the opposite of what you ever want to feel, in my opinion, over a long period of time. I'm cool with it over a short period of time, but really what I want to feel is either disgusted or inspired. Because when I'm disgusted by something, that's going to make me grow and get out of the situation, or if I'm inspired by something, that's going to, again, make me grow and get out of the situation and move another level. Yeah,
that little story you just told reminds me. I was having a conversation with my buddy, and So I've been following this very popular psychologist, and he did this series on it's basically called the psychological significance of the Bible, and he was kind of analyzing the Bible stories from evolution and psychology. And he told a story about Noah's Ark, and it's changed my view on just kind of planning and never being comfortable and always striving for something to grow. And he basically says that kind of the metaphor of Noah's Ark is that a flood, a chaos, a major problem, an illness, a death in the family, a financial collapse is always something that's going to happen. Like a flood is always coming, and so you can either not prepare and just kind of live in the moment and hope that kind of give into your impulse and just hope that everything will turn out okay. Or you can constantly be building your ark so that when chaos does come, when that flood does come, you're prepared and you're able to kind of float on top of it and ride it out and survive instead of get drowned by whatever problem comes in, whatever the problem happens to be. I thought that was so interesting because if even if you have you get six figures and you're super comfortable, there's no reason to think that that's going to sustain forever. It could be if you're all in real estate, the real estate market could collapse. You could get sick and you can no longer work. So your family could get sick and you got to pay for all that, or even something even smaller than that. And so that'd be kind of the analogous to the flood. And so it's like, what are you doing with yourself, whether it's personal growth, or what habits are you putting in place, or how are you diversifying your portfolio, or whatever it happens to be, and that'd be you building your ark for the flood that's going to come.
Oh yeah. You could have you could build a navy of boats and then have them for others when the flood does come. Everyone's got a boat, right? I mean, There's all sorts of things. I remember people always say, winter's going to come. Are you going to freeze to death, or are you going to go skiing?
There you go.
Right? One thing's going to happen. Winter's definitely coming. So are you going to have your ski pole, ski hat, or are you going to be scrounging for food?
Exactly.
Cool.
So again, you can really apply this formula to anything. So, all right. So let's move on to any business updates or observation you've had from the past week.
Yeah, real quick. I have been on 3 basically sales calls where people were calling to sell me on something ish. So let me just describe them. And the purpose of me sharing this is that one individual did a great job, and I believe it was because of contribution, helping others was at his forefront, whereas the other 2, one might have contribution at the forefront, but just needs to change the mechanics, and the other definitely doesn't. So here's the scenario, and this is helpful for anyone who's in sales in any capacity. Are you looking to find a motivated seller? Are you looking to bring in investors? Are you looking to just scale it, get promoted in your company as a full-time job, etc.? So as with Ashcroft Capital, we are looking at platforms for investor relations. We're looking at some companies that allow us to provide a more robust experience for investors. I don't know if we're going to do it right now, but eventually we will. And I was on a call with 2 different companies. So I was on a call with one company and a call with another company. And then the example is an outlier of this. So I'll get to the third one in a second. But company A, the individual called me Joseph, which my name's Joe. I don't mind Joseph. I just haven't been called that other than by my mom or my sister in a very long time. And so, I mentioned on the call, I go by Joe. The follow-up email, Joseph. I was like, all right, you're not listening. So, secondly, is I asked for the call to be 30 minutes or less to both of them, and they both initially scoffed at it. It's like, oh, well, what takes 60 to 90 minutes to usually do the demo? And I didn't tell them this, but my assistant was helping coordinate this. I mentioned to her, I just sent her a link to a YouTube video that described astrophysics. Astrophysics, is that a thing? Yeah, in 9 minutes or less. And if this woman can describe astrophysics in 9 minutes or less, I can certainly see a demo of some asset management platform. It's freaking not astrophysics. I just sent that link. I was like, if she can do this in 9 minutes, I certainly don't. We don't need more than 30 minutes.
That's good.
And so we jump on the call. So this is a person A who called me Joseph. We jump on the call. So clearly they haven't done any research on me because everyone knows I go by Joe. Number 2 is they said, well, let's dive right in. And they just plowed through the demo. They didn't ask me any questions. And it's a condensed amount of time. So if I'm them, I'm thinking, what is my outcome? My outcome is to, if I can't get through everything, which I should be able to, then it's at least to continue the conversation. So pique enough interest and continue the conversation and show value during this call. Well, in order to do that, they need to know what their customer is seeking because they're not sure what exactly I'm looking for. So they just plowed through the demo and they went 6 minutes over, and I had to interrupt and say, hey, I had a call that started 6 minutes ago. I got to run. And then they followed up about 6 times after that with, hey, are you going to join? Are you going to sign up? Are you going to join? What's going on? Is it pricing? That was not with contribution at the forefront.
Yep.
Because if they're focused on others, then it would not be about what they have to show, but rather what can they give that is helpful for the other person. And this is directly applicable to every aspect of real estate investing and entrepreneurship. The other person, company B, great rapport, started out asking me questions about, all right, what I know we got limited time. Usually our demo takes 60 to 90 minutes. What are you looking for in terms of what are some pain points, or what can I show you? And I mentioned, here's the process I go through with investors from start to finish, and here's what we're looking to optimize. And we went through it. We went through everything after he asked me questions, and then we went through some stuff, and then we ended the conversation. It was beautiful. The third is an outlier. The third is there was someone who reached out to me on BiggerPockets and said, I'm creating something. I'm in the tech space. I want to create something to help people in your industry. Can you jump on a call? And I reply to all my messages, but I can't jump on a call with everyone who asks for a call. So I wasn't sure if I was going to or not. So I wanted to think about it. So I asked this person to email Samantha, my assistant and right-hand person. She does more than this. She's my operations person. And they emailed her, and they said, Joe would like to set up a 30-minute call. and I believe, after talking to this person, it was an innocent mistake. I don't think it was intentional to put words in my mouth. I fully believe it was an innocent mistake, because this person seems like a really nice person after talking to the person. And so anyway, at first I'm like, oh, I see it on my calendar yesterday, and who I can't even find it in my emails, and I don't think to search BiggerPockets. So I asked Samantha, who is this person again? What are we doing? And she sent me, I was like, oh, I wanted to talk to you about having maybe a call with this. So anyway, we set up, the call is that later in the day. So I jump on the call, but when I jump on the call, I say, so-and-so, I have 10 minutes. And this person is expecting, he's talked to a couple people in my situation before who do what I do, and he's talked to them for more than 30 minutes. And I said, I got 10 minutes. And it frazzled him big time. And he said, okay, well, he started going through his questions that he probably was going through with other people who had a longer period of time. And eventually he said, I don't think I can get through this stuff in 30 minutes. And ultimately he was trying to create software that addressed pain points that I had. And that was the assumption that he had, that I had pain points. Well, I didn't have pain points as it related to what he was looking to do. And that was a false assumption that he had. So if he, instead of going into an assumption that I had pain points, if he would have asked me, well, first off, I want to challenge my own assumption. Do you have any pain points in your business as it relates to XYZ? I would have said no, and then that was really it. That would be the end of the conversation. If he would have emailed me that, then that would be it. But he had the assumption that he was going to ask me a bunch of questions, when in reality, asking, hey, let me challenge my assumption first, and then here's the outcome of the conversation. What we ended up doing in 10 minutes or less was I gave him one of my clients who does have those pain points, and he's going to talk to the client and spend some time, and after he creates something, maybe help out the client and my other clients. So taking a step back, it's asking questions because we want to help out others first and foremost. We don't have a predetermined agenda. And when we do ask the right questions prior to or at the beginning of the conversation, then our conversation will lead to greater results than we could ever generate if we just dove into whatever we wanted to talk about. And that is so true with investor conversations when you're meeting with an investor for the first 10th time. That's true for when I interview fix and flippers and wholesalers who speak to owners. If you take time and learn about their situation and learn what the solutions could be versus here's how I can help you, you don't know how you can help them because you haven't asked them the questions.
Yep. Yeah. I took in my previous jobs, I did a lot of sales jobs, and I took months and months of sales training. That's, obviously months and months of sales training, you learn a lot, but the main theme is always, instead of just going out there and just like throwing up all the information that you have, you figure out what it is they actually care about, and then you find what you have, what technology you have, or what service can you provide to fix that specific problem, instead of talking about things that they just don't even they don't care about. And if you don't ask them what they care about, it's impossible to know. So it's a story.
Cool. What about you? What you got going on?
Well, I rented out. I found a renter for my current personal residence in Cincinnati.
Outstanding. So you were trying to get $2,500. $2,500. You got the highest end of what you're looking to get.
We did. And
Craigslist?
No. So it's funny. I put it on Craigslist, and the one response I got from Craigslist was obviously like some sort of automated text service. Oh. Because like it goes, hey, this is so and so. We're interested. Are you interested in basically like lease to owning your property? And I was like, no, not really. And then like instantaneously, like it comes back with like a really long text. So I could tell that it was.
They should change that algorithm.
They should. They didn't
like 30 seconds or something.
They didn't delay it because once I knew what it was, I got turned off. But if it would have said the same thing and delayed it by 30 seconds, I probably
would have hooked you.
They could have hooked me.
Oh.
And but so I found the renter on Zillow, and so basically there's a thing called Hot Pads. Mm-hmm. If you put it in Hot Pads, it goes to Zillow, Trulia, and then obviously it goes on Hot Pads, and then maybe some other service. So it puts it everywhere. And so we got some doctors that are going to rent it out, and I think the husband has a fellowship in Cincinnati for 2 years, and so we'll have to rent it out for 2 years at $2,500. And outside of that, I've been really enjoying having a property management company manage my fourplexes.
Have you gotten your first monthly P&L?
Not yet.
With their fees included? We'll talk to you after you.
Talk to me after that. Yeah. But yeah, because he hasn't done it for a full month yet, so I get my first statement sometime next month. And so we'll see how I feel after that. But it is just a huge weight off my chest. Because there's been a couple of problems, and they're just right on it. He's really good because he owns his own properties and he's got his contacts, but he'll send me like a long email like, all right, here's what the problem was, here's who's fixing it, here's a link to their company, here's how much it's going to cost, here's how much it would have cost if we would have done this.
Boy,
like, man.
I'll tell you what, that's not scalable for him. I guarantee you that. As he grows his business, you're not going to be getting those long emails.
I might though if I keep giving him business. I'm his main customer.
Maybe.
And then besides that, for kind of just preparing for the move to Tampa, and kind of once we get settled down there, I'll maybe for after a couple months we kind of replenish our money, our bank account. I'll send out that direct mailer I've been talking about, and I've been you've had a lot of podcasts recently about kind of what goes into what the best practices are for direct mail, and so I've got a lot of basically all the best practices wrapped up in a pretty box for me that I'll just implement and test over time, and the goal is just to find one property, and over time if I get more properties, figuring out what to do with that, what to do with those, wholesale or whatever. But
do we on the Best Ever blog, do we have a section with just direct mail?
We have a section with it's called lead generation.
Lead generation, okay.
Yeah.
And that's where all these direct mail.
So right now, I think as of yesterday, there was about 29.
Oh my gosh.
Lead generation.
All right, so you can go to thebesteverblog.com and thebesteverblog.com, and then you can get all those lead generation articles.
Yep, and this is kind of a new thing we're doing. So if you see that, even need advice on adding categories, breaking up categories, any positive or feedback or constructive criticism, definitely email it to us so we can know how to improve it and make it better for everyone.
Yeah. Yep.
And then Also, we're getting close to the Best Ever Conference in Denver. So that's exciting. So make sure you go to besteverconference.com to get your ticket for that. And then also,
we just announced a couple other people on the funding side. So you can go to besteverconference.com and check it out.
And then also make sure if you're an active Facebook user, if you're not an active Facebook user, make sure you check out the Best Ever Show community. It is a group on Facebook where we should be streaming live from there right now. So if you're on there, thanks for joining. And then finally...
Oh, and one thing about the Best Ever Show community, one thing we do is a self-promotion Saturday, and we randomly pick one person or company that mentions their stuff on that thread, and we promote it on the... Where do we promote it, Grant?
On the Joe Fairless page.
On the Joe Fairless page, which has 2,000 or something people who like it. So you get more exposure that way, and just something we make the community stronger. Everyone as everyone elevates their business, we all benefit. So that's one tactical way of benefiting from becoming a free member of the Best Ever community on Facebook.
And then finally, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and leave a review for your opportunity to be the review of the week. This week we have the Pleading Teacher. And he or she says, Joe is a fantastic podcast host and does a great job of drawing out information during the episodes that are super helpful for those in the real estate business. Great podcast.
Well, thank you for that, especially if you are a teacher. That means a lot. And I've personally been enjoying doing the interviews a lot lately. I hit a lull. I don't know when. I don't know what. It was a while ago, but I hit a lull. But now I'm really focused on the interviews again, and I think it's because after attending the Tony Robbins conference, I was like, okay, love and contribution, those are going to be my two driving needs, instead of love and significance. And now that contribution's more at the forefront, and I'm more consciously focused on helping others, I've just enjoyed doing the interviews more, and I'm confident that that's going to show in the quality of the interviews that we do, and more thoughtful questions, and just paying more attention to what they're saying. And you'll really see that in the new year, because that's when the interview, because we're about 60 days out. When I interview someone, it publishes in about 60 to 70 days later, because we've got just a lot of people who are wanting to be on the show, and we're also reaching out to based on being qualified. So that's something that I appreciate the compliments, and my goal is to continue to improve and get better.
I wonder if the trampoline has anything to do with it too.
Trampoline, yeah, I do have a little trampoline in my office now. Bounce on that a lot prior to the interviews. That is so helpful. It shake things out. Well, Best Ever listeners, thank you for being listening to today's show, and we will talk to you tomorrow.